Hello my loves, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel. If you're new here, hi, hello, my name is Loey. Today, as I was browsing the internet as usual for something to creep myself out with, I came across this list of a bunch of parents recalling the scariest thing that their children have ever said to them. And I'm not talking about like, there's a monster under the bed. I'm talking about truly scary things that honestly made the parents sit back and wonder what their kids were seeing that maybe they couldn't. So if you guys want to tune in for this video, grab yourself a drink or a snack, cozy on up, and let's read together these terrifying true stories of scary things kids have said to their parents. When my oldest son was about 3, he said one night at bedtime, "Mommy, I like you better than my fake mommy." To which I said, "Who's your fake mommy?" He said, "You can't see her. She tucks me in after you do." I just got chills. Oh my gosh. She tucks me in after you do. Who in the world was visiting this kid at night after his mom went to bed? This next one says, "My niece was about 4 when I heard her laughing in my room. I walked in and asked her what she was doing, and she said, 'Chucky says if you stick your fingers in your eyes, they come out of your mouth.' Then she told me Chucky lived underground." Still gives me chills. Holy crap. These are dark. I literally, every time that I find these, I just sort of skim over them, make sure that they're creepy enough to tell you guys, but that is scary. I think that a lot of the times the kids' imaginary friends aren't so imaginary at all. Picked him up from daycare when he was 3. Driving home, totally quiet, him just staring out the window. He randomly asks, "Hey Dad, remember that time we died in a fire?" I would pay money to see what else that kid said in that conversation or what the dad said back to him, but children often remember past lives, so maybe he remembers something that the dad has long forgotten. My 3-year-old daughter was going through the monsters under her bed phase. Lasted for weeks, and it was really wearing on her mom and me. One night after her mom tried to put her to bed, she tagged me in. After 30 minutes, I grew pretty frustrated. In a last-ditch attempt, I promised my daughter that there weren't any monsters under the bed. She replied, "I know. Now they're behind you." After that, I let her sleep with us for a week. I heard the 1-year-old's high chair move, even though nobody was near it. I asked the 3-year-old, "What was that?" And he said, while pointing to the chair, "What is she doing here?" Ooh, who in the world would that have been? He started refusing to go downstairs, age around 3 to 3.5, terrified, saying there was an evil angel man down there that wanted to hurt the whole family. Consistently drew the same picture of said angel man too. Ugh. Kids are such good judges of character and energy that whatever that was probably far from an angel. This was terrifying. When I was a teenager, I was babysitting for a family with 3 young children. The boy was about 8 and the girls were in kindergarten. Their parents had driven about an hour away to see a play, but still planned to be home early in the night. However, I got a call that they'd been in a minor car accident and they would be home a couple hours later than planned. They asked several times how/if the boy was sleeping, which should have been a red flag, but I simply said that all the children were sleeping and left it there. About an hour goes by and it's definitely nighttime now. I'm sitting on a sofa downstairs and looking through some old magazines to pass the time. Suddenly, I hear a shuffling on the staircase. The boy was clearly sleepwalking, but his eyes were open and rolled back. He started running, his hands along the wall, and grabbing family pictures while screaming, "They all must go. They all must go." Oh my God. Before throwing the pictures down the stairs. Once I overcame a moment of sheer panic, I rushed up the stairs and tried to grab him. Once I'm about a half a foot away from him, he starts screaming, "If you touch me, you die. If you touch me, you die," followed by manic laughter. At this point, the sound of crashing glass and screaming has woken the girls and I can hear them crying. Totally freaked out, but still focused on keeping the kid from falling down the stairs, I grab the boy by the back of his pajamas and lead him back up the rest of the stairs and towards his room. When we get to his doorway, he calmly walks to his bed and gets back in as if nothing has happened. Flabbergasted, I go over to his bed and he is perfectly sound asleep. I can still hear the girls crying, so I rush to their room. They are huddled together in the back corner, crying. I say, "Oh, no, it's okay, your brother's okay. He's just sleepwalking, it's fine." One of the little girls looks at me and says, "We know we can't help it. Simon makes him do it." That was the last straw for me. I didn't ask any more questions, brought the girls downstairs with me, gave them milk and cookies, turned on the radio, and turned every single light on. Parents walk in and know immediately what happened. Never babysat for that family again. Halfway through this story, I was just thinking about how Haley talked about how she had babysat a possessed child, and that's literally what that story is. How freaking creepy is that? This poor girl probably babysat in the most insanely haunted house of all time. That one was freaky. My oldest kept talking in his bed past bedtime. When we asked him who he was talking to, he said he was talking to the floating white lady. I don't remember the description he gave us, but what I do remember is kid number 3 doing the same routine 8 years later. Oh no. Oh, who is the floating white lady? My 3-year-old grandson has babbled about plane crashes since he started talking. He would reenact with toys, a plane chasing another plane, and as the first suddenly dropped to the ground, he'd yell in a heart-rending scream, "Oh no, we crashed!" This was his first sentence. He did this over and over. Early this summer, he's 3, and I'm reading him a bedtime story. I pause and look up at him, and he said to me, "Granny, I was a pilot. My plane was the Kitty Hawk. I crashed into the water when they shot it off my wing and shot it off my face." It almost stopped my heart. He looked so troubled and sad. I told him that he had done his best and I was very proud of him, and that he was only a little boy now and he needed to not worry about that. But if he needed to talk about it, he could anytime. I just hugged him. I researched, and Kitty Hawks were used by almost every country in early World War II. I am like covered in chills. Again, kids remember their past lives because they're so close, like they've been born and they're so close to the veil of, you know, the other side of life and to the afterlife and everything, that I think they just remember things so clearly. That was honestly a really creepy story. Not a parent, but when my little brother was 4 and I was like 18, we were playing with Hot Wheel cars. He just started singing the alphabet song, which is normal for kids to start singing at random times, but he had a twist to it. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Everyone is dead. I just looked at him for a moment and then just kept playing with cars. Kids are weird, man. Where in the world did he learn that version of the song? My son, age 7, dreamily and out of nowhere. "Today is the day I'm going to die." Me. "What?" Him. "Oh no, Mom, don't worry. Not today, but on this date, some other year." Why does he know that? When my cousin was a kid, there was a doll at a toy shop that she longed for months. She was a fabric doll with a painted face, her red hair made from yarn, and a green printed dress. That sounds an awful lot like Annabelle. She got the doll for Christmas and fairly soon after had a dream that the doll was laughing and pulling out her toenails. She was so freaked out that they had to get rid of the doll. A couple of months ago, my cousin's 8-year-old son came to her after a nightmare about a mean doll and described my cousin's doll exactly. Whoa, holy cow. And the fact that the doll came back like years and years and years later. That is wild. When my daughter was little, she was crying and I went to check on her. She said she couldn't get the picture to go away. I said, "What picture?" She pointed to an empty spot on the rug. I asked her what it was a picture of. She said it was my car on fire. I was driving for a long road trip a couple days later. I never drove so carefully in my life. That really makes you wonder what that girl had a premonition of and what she probably saved her dad from. One night my husband had gone out with friends and I had settled in for some Netflix after the kids went to bed. My son got up and walked past the bathroom where I was sitting, then stopped. He had dead eyes. I asked him if he was okay. Did he need the bathroom? Did he have a bad dream? And although he turned his face towards me, he didn't answer and his expression didn't change. It was like he was possessed or zombified. I led him into the bathroom and he followed easily enough, but just stood by the toilet. When I told him to pull down his pants, he did, but I still had to say, "Now go pee," like he couldn't figure it out on his own. He would follow direct orders, but not answer questions, wouldn't talk at all, and had a dead expression the entire time. I was getting more and more frantic, trying to get him to respond to me, or show that he could hear me. I called my husband and told him that he needed to come home. Something wasn't right. Sat on the side of the tub, panicking and almost crying as he just stood there and watched me impassionately. After about 15 minutes, he tilted his head and blood started running out of his nose and down his face. No reaction out of him at all. I grabbed a handful of toilet paper, shoved it under his nose, and told him to hold it. He did, blank-faced, then picked up my phone to call 911. Before I was done dialing, my son said, "Mom, what's going on?" It was so unexpected and my tensions were so high, I jumped and almost screamed. Told him he was having a nosebleed. He said he didn't remember anything at all. Asleep in his bed, and woke up in the bathroom with his mom crying and his nose bleeding. That was the day I realized my kid was a sleepwalker and I was a total wimp of a mom. You are not a wimp of a mom. Honestly, if that had happened to me with my kid, I would be just as freaked out as you were. My daughter was in the back seat looking out the window and just calmly says, "Mommy, look at all the people." She was pointing at a cemetery that just has plaques, no headstones, so it looks like a pretty field. And she was 2, so there wasn't a living soul around for miles. I just turned on the radio and acted like everything was fine. It wasn't. I'm telling you, when I have kids, you guys, with all of the paranormal experiences that I have, I know my kids are gonna have them too, especially when they're that young and so pure. I'm not prepared. I'm gonna be such a wimp, it's unreal. Not necessarily what the kid did, but heard him scream horribly loud on the monitor. My girl said there's a black figure standing over his bed. I jump up, and as soon as I do, the basement door flung open. My dog freaked the heck out running. I ran upstairs, grabbed my son, and we stayed at my mom's. My fiance had an existential crisis because she now believes in ghosts. Funny enough, I knew the family and the guy who died in our house, so I went in the attic and found suitcases right above my son's room, with the guy who died, dead son's things were. Me and my cousin grabbed them and returned the items to the dead son's old wife. Did an exorcism when all sorts of weird stuff happened. We recorded it and got video of his camera and mount getting ripped off the counter. The stand held going 100 miles per hour outside of the car and wouldn't come loose unless a tab was pulled. On top of that, batteries died about 20 times faster than they should have. Although after we did that, Rex, the dead owner's dead son, never came back. Turns out Rex wasn't the nicest in life, so scaring my kid wasn't out of the question. So freaking scary, especially when you know the history of a house and then you realize it's haunted. Not my kid, but I was at a friend's place for a cookout. His son opened the sliding glass door, tapped on the side of the house and said, "I'm going to burn this down." He then casually walked inside and shut the door. Okay then. My cousin's kid, middle of the night, got dad's hunting knife out and stabbed the leather couch over 50 times. He's 5. Whoa, that's insane. 50 times? Ugh. My 1-year-old will point to a spot on the ceiling, say, "Aw," make grabby hands towards it, then begin tracking whatever it is she sees and blowing kisses at it. I'm pretty sure it's Satan. Nothing good lives on the ceiling. Well, if she's making kissy faces at it and stuff, you never know. It could be a good spirit. This last one comes from somebody who said this when they were a kid. I used to say things my grandfather used to say a lot, like yelling out in German at our dog. My grandfather died years before I was born. That was just 20 on this list. So if you guys want me to do the rest of it, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I love you all so very much, and I will catch you in my next video. Bye.